I'm Danny, this is Asha. We're two Kiwis who after 5 years living in London bought a sailboat called Bacchus and set off on an adventure to sail home to New Zealand. We sailed the south coast of England, the Atlantic coast of France, Spain and Portugal, the Canary Islands, and then all 19 days across the Atlantic Ocean to the paradise of Barbados. We spent 6 months exploring some of the beautiful islands in the Caribbean, got a little waylaid by a global pandemic, and are now continuing our voyage home. Follow us on our adventure. In our previous episode, we dropped the hook in Apataki. There was one other boat there when we arrived, but they left shortly after, meaning we had the whole pretty anchorage to ourselves. What a treat! We raided one of the motus when we were in Tauau for a few coconuts. So we have a decent supply now on the boat. And we've just had a couple chilling in the fridge while we sailed over here. So we're going to mix a bit with rum, some pineapple juice, have a little real life pina colada.
There he is.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so nice. Thanks.
Bit of the medicine. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh man, it's pretty delicious. This is just such a pretty little spot. Nice and flat. We're going to row ashore and see if we can walk over to the seaward side of the atoll. See what the ocean looks like today.
What do you think our chances are of getting some more coconuts in here?
Poor. Slim to poor. No, I reckon even I will be able to find a coconut in here.
It's been pretty tricky getting Wi-Fi here in French Polynesia, but the guys here at the boatyard in Apataki have got pay for Wi-Fi, so we've found a little office for the day and just doing some more important adulty type of things. Asha is emailing the mortgage broker at the moment.
Serious adult stuff. We're planning to build a house when we get back to New Zealand, so figure out how we're going to finance that. It's exciting.
It's a pretty spot to do some life admin. Okay, so the life admin didn't last very long and we decided to go for a wander. Another day, another little beach to walk along. There is so much rubbish that ends up on the outside reef of these atolls. Asha is always scrummaging around for something useful. I, on the other hand, prefer to look for pretty shells. Just doing my usual shell collecting. So today's fun activity, we are going to go sail up to the northeast corner of the atoll. We should have a nice flat sea because we're nice and close, so there's no fetch. But we do have to keep an eye out for all of the bommies and rocks that are out there because there's heaps of them along the coast here. But it should be a pretty nice sail, and hopefully there is a nice little spot for us up the top there where we can put the anchor down. It's only about 15 miles, so it shouldn't take us very long to get up there.
How's she feeling, driver?
Yeah, she's good. We've got 7.5 knots through the water. Yep. So it's nice and fast. That's what you get with flat water.
Big change, eh?
Speed.
Big change from what we're used to sailing in.
Yeah.
Waka Waka's loving it back there.
Yeah. As quiet as she's been for a while.
So much choice for anchoring, eh?
There's way too much choice, but we're going to stop in this little spot, which is about 2 miles from the north. It looks really pretty, so we're going to try and get an anchor here and have lunch and see what we think, and if we want we can carry on, but there's just been way too many options of where to stop.
It's just so pretty. So we think we're going to go in here somewhere. And that's us for lunch. Anchor down off a little motu, and the coconut palms here are high enough that we get a small lee from the wind, which is just lovely. The anchor didn't set very well when I dropped it. It was kind of scraping and scrabbling a bit, so I'm going to go for a swim and see what it's grabbed onto, because it might just be like a rocky sort of bottom. It didn't feel like it's set into sand, which is what I was hoping for. But this is very, very pleasant. This will do. We anchor in places like this. We tie a float to the first half of our anchor chain, which helps it float off the seabed and keep it clear of any coral heads as we swing around. It's Danny's turn to be out in Waka Waka today. She's having a good time just going up and down the reef on the inside of the atoll here. It's just lovely sailing. The water's really clear, so you can see all the coral heads, and we've got the trade winds blowing, but they're sort of moderated by the tall coconut palms that are on the outside of the reef there. So it's just a gentle breeze in here, so it's just lovely, about 10 knots. It looks like she's having fun. Nice one. Yeah, I got your mast.
Alright.
Good work. Chuck me out the painter. Yep, got her.
And look who we've got showing up into our quiet little anchorage right now. Sailing vessel Tula.
It's actually Ilya's birthday, or it was Ilya's birthday a few days ago, so I think we might be even having a bit of a birthday party for him here, which will be fun.
Asher has been playing with Waka Waka this afternoon, setting up a new way to sheet in the main sheet, so it's got a few pulleys on it now to make it a bit easier. And he's just popped over to Tula to pick up Elia for a coffee break. Here they come. I think I've been replaced. There's a little bromance going on out there.
Yeah. But probably I should pee on my propeller.
Yeah, maybe do that next time.
Probably. Or the egg white.
Tell Yana that's her job.
Oh, up on. Oh, she's picked up her skirts. Off she goes.
Heaps of it now.
Ah, too easy.
Dive in there, it's really up there, something like that. So what I've done with Waka Waka's main sheet is I've just put two little blocks. As you can see, there's one little block on the mast there and one little block that's on a rope traveller, and it just gives us a bit of purchase on the main sheet, so we've now got a bit more leverage to pull it in, and it improves the angle for when you're sitting in the bottom of the boat pulling on it. The way we used to do it was just to have the rope, the main sheet, tied with a bowline there, and then the rope just came down and we just looped the rope underneath that little piece of string and then pulled it from here. But the angle was terrible and you didn't have any purchase. So this is an improvement. It's nice. She sails really well with it. We are getting ready to leave the Tuamotus. A sad day, but we're looking forward to the next stage of our French Polynesian trip. So next stop is the Society Islands.
Yeah, we're just packing up the boat, ready to leave to go to Tahiti. It'll be about 220 miles. So at least one overnight, possibly two overnights, depends how fast we can go. But yeah, like Asha said, we're a little bit sad to leave this beautiful part of the world, but I think we've definitely got high hopes for the societies as well. They sound like a pretty cool place to hang out. And the clock is ticking on us. We do have to get back to New Zealand by November, and it's almost October, so time to carry on. We're looking forward to it. Here we go, another pass.
Yeah, we're just setting ourselves up now for the north pass of Apataki to exit. So this is the last Tuamotu's pass that we're going to have to deal with, and looks like there's a bit of chop. We're about an hour and a bit before slack water. So the current's going to be against us coming in and the wind is going out, so we've got a little bit of wind against tide. So we'll see how it goes. It doesn't look too radical to me. I think we'll be okay, but yeah, always a bit nerve inducing. So here's the pass that we're aiming for. We're going to be shooting out through that gap. And there's Tula just behind us. Down to Tahiti as well. And up ahead, you can see a little bit of white water in the pass, but it's not looking too bad. We've got the engine and our full main to push us along against the current.
Start a knot.
Right.
That's all. Go Pete, let's rock and roll. Yoo-hoo. We're at the worst of the river, but we're not in the skinny part of the pass yet.
Gonna work on the wheel there for Danny. Rocking and rolling our way.
Yeah, 8.
Cool.
We're back up now, which is good. Seems to be right at the end of the river, I think.
Yeah, here we go, we're popping out now. That's the white stuff behind us.
Nice turtle going back there.
Yeah, she's all good, she's probably rolling, but she's fine.
We're in here though, about the waves, 3 to 4 knots maybe.
Wow. We're really fighting the current now. We're doing over 7 knots through the water, but we're just crawling along.
3.5 knots.
Yeah. So we've just got this river of water rushing in through the pass and we're punching our way out against it. We've got the full main and we've got the engine pushing about as hard as it'll push. But we're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there.
And that's it. We're out.
Yep, we're out. Fishing line's gone out.
Good.
We look like we're going to clear the side of Apataki.
Florence is driving.
Tahiti's over there somewhere.
Yeah. Jupiter's just come out past behind us. We're off down there. We've just had such nice passage making since we went through the Panama Canal basically. Getting from Panama out to the Pearl Islands was a really nice passage. We had a pretty easy Pacific crossing. We had a fun, blustery kind of sail between Nukuhiva and Uapo in the Marquesas. We had a really easy passage from Uapo to Whakarava. Sailing around the Tuamotus has all been very peaceful and quite pleasant, and it looks like we're going to have another nice passage down to Tahiti. So the Pacific's just treated us so well. We've been so lucky. Touch wood that it continues, but it's been just such a pleasure sailing here. Just lovely. What's for dinner tonight?
Nachos! They're back! Dal and nachos.
Fantastic. Dal. Like that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Our lovely flat Pacific has abandoned us for a lumpy, rolly one today. We've only got 80 miles to go before we get to Tahiti, so we don't have to put up with it for too long. The Bacchus is making pretty good speed. We've got one reef in the main, one reef in the headsail. Wind is about 18, 19 knots. And I've sent a few emails this morning to various officials in Tahiti. There's a few boxes that have to be ticked before you can enter there. You're supposed to contact various people in advance. Ooh, there's a wave. So that's been done, so hopefully that all smooths the way for us, for the officials. Yeah, that's about it really. Not much else to report. It's a nice sunny day. Danny has put a fresh lure on the fishing line, so we'll see if we catch any fish. That's about it really. So today the weather has not been as pleasant as it was yesterday. Bit of rain blowing through. Wind's been a bit gusty, sea's a bit lumpy. So yeah, it's not as comfortable a ride. But we're still on course, we're making good progress. And it's funny, I've not really been bothered by seasickness on this trip at all, which has been a real blessing. And yet today I'm feeling really green. So I've just had a seasickness tablet and I'll see if that calms my stomach down a bit. But it's not something I've had to deal with, so it's strange that it's affecting me now. slow our little Beneteau. That's our speed through the water and our speed over the ground there. And they're both spending a lot of time in the 8s and sometimes even the 9s.
We could see the squall coming up beside us, and Asher was indecisive on whether he wanted to reef or not, because we just had a squall come through earlier and there wasn't much wind in it. And me wanting to get to the anchorage sooner rather than later said, why don't we just ride it out and get as many miles as we can under our belt now before it gets dark, which was the wrong decision. I think if you're ever wondering if you should reef, you should just reef. Because, yeah, we had what?
It went from about 17, 18 knots up to 28, just like that. And we were already quite powered up. And when it was touching 20 knots, that was the limit, really, of where we were nicely in control. And then this squall hit us and there was another 10 knots of wind in it. So, we had a little bit of a spin out, a bit of a broach, and then I took over the wheel from the hydrovane. And we just bared away and ran off downwind while the worst of it went through. So we're back on course now, but it's just raining on us.
Still a bit of wind, but not too much.
It's interesting though, because that last squall looked exactly the same as this one, and it actually had less wind under it. The wind died when the rain reached us. So I saw this one coming and thought that it was going to be more of the same, but wasn't to be. Just getting hammered by these squalls. It's just a freight train of them, one after the other.
It all got a bit too much for the Genoa, so it was time to put out the number 4 jib.
What's for dinner tonight?
Chicken noodles.
Chicken noodles. It's been a bumpy finish to this little passage. Wind's picked up and sea's got really steep and the waves are right on the beam, so we're getting chucked around a bit. We've got second reef in the main now, and we've gone down to our little number 4 headsail that we fly on the removable inner forestay. So Bacchus is nicely balanced and the hydrovane can steer, but we are getting chucked around a bit. We can just see the lights of Tahiti on the horizon now. Unfortunately, the lens on the camera is not really good enough to pick them up. But we're going to get to Point Venus at about 10:30 in the evening, I think. So it'll be a night approach, and we'll find somewhere to drop the anchor, and we'll sit there until the morning, and then go find our way to a marina in Papeete. Anchor down in Point Venus. Danny's just writing up the log, and I've just been tidying up all the sails and sheets and everything. But I reckon that might have been our most challenging sail yet, I think. Those like 200-mile sails, which are really only long enough to be at sea for one night, I find them quite exhausting.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get into your rhythm, and then with this one we had quite squally weather at the end, sort of from just before dusk really through until when we arrived. It's now 11 o'clock in the evening, so we've had like 6 hours, I'd say, of pretty relentless squalls, and quite a big sea too. So yeah, it was tough.
Night arrivals are tough also anyway, because everything is so much harder to get your grips on when it's dark.
Yeah.
And with the squalls, at some points it was really dark because the moon wasn't giving any light at all. So they're always a little bit tough. And yeah, perhaps you don't nap as much during the day as you should because it's only a one-nighter. But we'll sleep well tonight, I think.
Yeah, I reckon. I'm zonked.
And deal with immigration tomorrow.
Yay. To go and see the Tahitian immigration authorities, which will be fun, I'm sure.
One of the few cool things about night arrivals into new anchorages is in the morning when you wake up, you get to see where you've landed. So we just pulled up the anchor and we are in the north of Tahiti, and it's pretty beautiful. It's so nice to see some hills again. And we woke up with Tula next to us. They arrived a few hours after us in the middle of the night, and we're heading to Papeete. But it's fun to see it for the first time in the morning.
And over here, in the background, we've got the island of Moorea. Hey dolphins, good morning. Good morning dolphins.
So we're here in Marina Papeete, and we're all stamped in officially into French Polynesia now. Yay. Which is good news. And actually there are 3 boats right next to us in the marina that we already know from our time in French Polynesia, good friends of ours. So we're going to have a beer with them and watch the sun go down over Moorea. It's really, really beautiful marina. Asher with his beers. There's Moorea in the distance with the sun.
It's a cracking sun today.
And here we are in the marina, right downtown Papeete. Join us on our next episode as we get to grips with French Polynesia's most famous island, Tahiti. If you want to support us, click the link or check out the description.